Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. There is some issue between episode 39 to 42. That's why this episode re-uploaded for continuity. So let's start. Huyang City, Primal Chaos Armor 913 Cave Mansion. Luo Feng specially invited the eternal true god Black Butcher to personally cook a sumptuous banquet in order to treat the monarch of Yu country's daughter, Yushirei Tianyu. Considering Yushirei Tianyu's noble status, as well as representing the godly king, Luo Feng naturally had to be sufficiently formal. The delicacies of Huyang City have their own unique flavor. Yushirei Tianyu, clad in armor and her luxuriant hair braided into hundreds of plaits, remarked while feasting on a large piece of meat that Black Butcher excelled at preparing. Lord of Huyang City, I think the food here at Lord Luo his is even better than what's offered at the city owner's mansion. Ha ha ha. The Lord of Huyang City, who accompanied them, laughed. In the entire Huyang City, only Black Butcher of the Fire Realm restaurant has achieved the status of eternal true god through his culinary arts. Your Highness, your visit to the city owner's mansion was so sudden, there was no time to invite Black Butcher in advance. Luo Feng nodded. Black Butcher's cooking skills are indeed not bad. It suits my taste very well, it's particularly satisfying to eat. Yushirei Tianyu looked at Luo Feng. Lord Luo could you invite Black Butcher over? Of course, Luo Feng nodded and immediately sent a message for Black Butcher, who had finished cooking in the mansion and was resting, to come over. In the pavilion, there were only Luo Feng, Yushirei Tianyu, and the accompanying Lord of Huyang City, three of them. Black Butcher was also a bit restrained when he entered since he was well aware of the status of the guests at today's banquet. That was the daughter of the monarch of Yu country. The monarch of Yu country, having established a powerful kingdom on his own, is considered a second-tier power in the entire land of origin, which is indeed quite formidable. In terms of individual strength, he was also one of the very formidable figures in the land of origin. The status of his daughter was noble enough to rival the high echelons of some major clans in the Flamewind ancient country. Even for some primal chaos overlords, it would be inappropriate to slight Her Highness Yushirei Tianyu. I've seen all of you, Black Butcher said respectfully. You're Black Butcher? Yushirei Tianyu's eyes lit up. Your culinary skills are quite impressive, I really like them. Would you be willing to go to the royal capital and be a chef in my residence? Black Butcher was taken aback. He was invited to the royal capital by the daughter of the monarch of Yu country, just for helping Lord Luo with a banquet. Lord Luo you wouldn't mind if I took your chef, would you? Yushirei Tianyu looked at Luo Feng. He owns the Fire Realm restaurant, he is not my chef, Luo Feng said with a smile. If he could go to the royal capital, it would mean a broader future for him, which is a good thing. How could I mind? In recent times, Luo Feng had been immersed in cultivation and had not visited the Fire Realm restaurant nor the Dream Flower Tower for quite a while. In my residence, there is only one main chef currently, and you will be the second chef I have invited. Rest assured, once you are there, you will have a separate cave mansion, and the cultivation resources you receive will far exceed what you had in Huyang City, Yushirei Tianyu said nonchalantly. As the daughter of the monarch, the gifts given to her by her father far exceeded the imagination of many eternal true gods. It is an honor to be invited by your highness. I am naturally willing, Black Butcher decided after some thought. Since his struggle to get to the land of origin, this opportunity lay before him like a vast heaven. With the recent intensifying conflict between Shi Kingdom and Yu Kingdom, as Huyang was a border city, Black Butcher was somewhat worried about becoming involved. Having the chance to go to the royal capital, he naturally wished to take it. Black Butcher, congratulations, Luo Feng said with a smile. It's thanks to you, Lord, that I have this opportunity. Black Butcher was grateful, and he was also very aware of the gap between himself and Lord Luo He seized the opportunity to become the chef for Her Royal Highness the Princess, while Lord Luo was the one Her Royal Highness personally visited. Yushirei Tianyu laughed heartily. Indeed, I should thank Lord Luo for allowing me to discover Black Butcher. Get ready quickly, Black Butcher. I will leave Huyang City for the royal capital when the day comes. Yes, Black Butcher responded respectfully and then excused himself to leave. Congratulations, Your Highness, for discovering this great chef in Huyang City, the Lord of Huyang City said. There are some who have achieved eternal true God status through culinary arts. Finding one who suits my taste is rare, Yushirei Tianyu said while eating meat, feeling quite gratified. As for those more powerful, who could become a primal chaos overlord through culinary arts, it's not possible for them to be a chef for Her Royal Highness the Princess. After all, any primal chaos realm deserves a certain respect from the godly king. Let's talk business, Yushirei Tianyu said, looking at Luo Feng. Lord Luo He, my father was very pleased when he heard about you, as it's not often that such a potential eternal true god emerges within our Yu Kingdom's territory. And since the Lord has helped our Yu Kingdom by killing some of Shi Kingdom's minions, my father instructed me to bring a gift for you. Thank you, Your Highness, and please convey my thanks to the godly king as well, Luo Feng said in gratitude. Yushirei Tianyu flipped her hand over and took out a dark purple wooden box, which then flew toward Luo Feng. Lord, please open it and see, Yushirei Tianyu said. Luo Feng opened the box and saw a pale green leaf inside it, with numerous veins and a surface sheen that was subdued but radiant. It even made the surrounding void ripple and twist. Hurry and close the box, Yushirei Tianyu said. This is a freshly matured void proliferation mother tree leaf. The box itself is specially crafted to preserve the leaf for a longer period. Left in the outside world, I fear that within one era, the leaf will completely dry up and lose its effectiveness. In the box, however, the preservation period can be extended many times over. A leaf from the void proliferation mother tree? Luo Feng was moved. He had learned about it from his master's information and from the Duandong River lineage reports. Of course, such a rarity was not something one could buy anywhere. It was all snapped up by the top existences of the land of origin. Whenever the leaves of the void proliferation mother tree mature, some are sent to my father, Yushirei Tianyu said with a smile. My father would bestow them upon primal chaos overlords and his subordinates. And this leaf that was brought today is freshly matured, offering the longest usage time. Lord, are you aware of how it's used? Yushirei Tianyu asked. I've heard it's related to the primal chaos layer. I don't know much, Luo Feng replied. Yushirei Tianyu explained, space is profound, and even powerhouses capable of tearing and cutting space are generally only scratching the surface. Space is profoundly deep, containing hundreds of layers. To completely break through all layers of space is to escape the braided cage, Yushirei Tianyu said. Among the many layers of space, there is one that is the primal chaos layer. The primal chaos layer contains boundless chaotic power. The so-called primal chaos ruins is the connection between the primal chaos layer and the space where we normally live, Yushirei Tianyu explained. Luo Feng listened. You only need to take out the void proliferation mother tree leaf and wear it on your person, and you can go against the current through the primal chaos ruins to reach the primal chaos layer, Yushirei Tianyu said. Ordinary cultivators are repelled, but with the void proliferation mother tree leaf, you can roam freely within the primal chaos layer. Cultivating there will greatly aid you in comprehending the primal chaos laws, Yushirei Tianyu said with a smile. You have deep accumulations in many aspects. Cultivating in the primal chaos layer, you might just comprehend the primal chaos laws. Thank you for the guidance, Your Highness, Luo Feng said. This leaf is not only a token of my father's appreciation for you, but also a reward for your previous slaying of Shi Kingdom's minions, Yushirei Tianyu said. My father also intends to take you as a disciple. If you are willing, you can go to the royal capital to undergo the tests. If you pass the 3 tests, you can become a disciple. Congratulations, Brother Luo He, this is an incredible opportunity, the Lord of Huyang City immediately said. Members like them on the fringe of the royal family naturally did not have the same status as a direct disciple of the monarch of Yu country. Every disciple my father takes has to pass through 3 tests, Yushirei Tianyu said. If you successfully become a disciple, the resources you'll get will far surpass this void proliferation mother tree leaf. If you become a primal chaos realm cultivator in the future, my father might even help you with your body refinement. Luo Feng listened. It was like his own 3 body refinement processes. In reality, body refinement was similar to forging weapons' secret treasures. If you particularly trust someone, you can let them refine your godly body. For example, if the monarch of Yu country took action, he could naturally make a godly body incredibly powerful. "I'll think about it," Luo Feng said, "and thank you, Your Highness." "Thank you, godly king." Yushirei Tianyu frowned slightly, then smiled. "It seems that Lord Luo he has another mentor. In the land of origin, the mentor-disciple relationship is no less important than that of father and son. After all, a mentor imparts lineage, provides resources, and gives guidance, leading all the way. This is even more heartfelt than what a father does. In the same vein, a disciple also has to reciprocate to the mentor. If a disciple betrays their mentor, it causes public outrage and is scorned by all forces. Brother Luo He, you can't miss this opportunity, the Lord of Huyang City reminded. There's no need to force it, it's just my father's appreciation for talent, Yushirei Tianyu said. For the monarch of Yu country, having a few more or fewer disciples made no significant difference. I must still thank Your Highness, Luo Feng raised his cup. Yushirei Tianyu also smiled and raised his cup to drink. Even if they couldn't become mentor and disciple, they could still be friends. With such a cultivator of great potential, who knew when he might become a primal chaos realm cultivator? Yushirei Tianyu was still willing to make friends. After the banquet ended, Yushirei Tianyu and the Lord of Huyang City departed, and Luo Feng personally saw them out of the cave mansion. Become a disciple? If I become a disciple, I'll be tied down completely. Luo Feng understood this very well. The vice president of the Flame Wind Guild had repeatedly instructed him not to side with Yu Kingdom, to prevent any issues with leaving in the future. The wooing of the monarch of Yu country, the wooing of Emperor Chu's lineage from the Flame Wind ancient country, anyone with a bit of insight knew how to choose. As long as one becomes a primal chaos realm cultivator, most rulers would be willing to recruit them. However, ordinary primal chaos realm cultivators would not be able to become a guest elder for Emperor Chu's lineage in the Flame Wind ancient country. If I go to Yu Kingdom's capital, to the monarch of Yu country, I can be had or not had. In the future, if I go to the Flame Wind ancient country, to Emperor Chu Yu, I will be his important aide. Luo Feng looked at the wooden box in his hand. Still, I have to thank the monarch of Yu country. Luo Feng was quite pleased. This void proliferation mother tree leaf was indeed very helpful to him. That very night, Luo Feng left behind a divine power incarnation, entrusted things to Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, and then went alone to the primal chaos ruins at the Lord of Huyang City's mansion. Brother Luo He, this is the primal chaos ruins, the Lord of Huyang City personally led him. Luo Feng looked ahead. Before them was a distorted void hole, like flowing water pouring down, with boundless chaotic power streaming out. Upon coming out, it naturally began to condense into primal chaos crystals, even permeating some of the surrounding mud and rocks, forming primal chaos stones. The boundless chaotic power of the primal chaos layer, once it comes to the world where we normally live, will solidify, the Lord of Huyang City said, thus we have primal chaos crystals and primal chaos stones. Luo Feng nodded, indeed miraculous. Around the primal chaos ruins, some true gods of void space were responsible for the cutting work, cutting into uniform sizes of crystal blocks. Piles of primal chaos crystals were stacked up, and at this moment they all noticed Lord Luo He, who was accompanied by the Lord of Huyang City. It's Lord Luo He. Lord Luo He has arrived. These true gods of void space all knew that currently, the most formidable in Huyang City was this Lord Luo He. Thank you, City Lord, Luo Feng said with a smile, then I will directly enter the primal chaos layer. After entering, remember the path so you can return the same way, the Lord of Huyang City said with a smile. I have also instructed that from now on, the godly king can enter the primal chaos ruins at any time. Thank you, Luo Feng nodded, then flew straight towards the void hole, moving against the surging chaotic power, and entered the void hole. The flow of time in the land of origin was very slow, and the space was also very stable. When Luo Feng was pursuing divine monarch Shui Yun, burning divine power to wield his blade technique and tear through the shallowest layer of space. The primal chaos layer lay deep within the layers of space. To enter the primal chaos layer on one's own was a feat most primal chaos overlords found unattainable. The simplest method was to travel upstream through the primal chaos ruins to reach the primal chaos layer directly. Boom tilde tilde tilde. An endless surge of chaotic power stretched as far as the eye could see. As Luo Feng ascended upstream through the void rift, the space around him was initially narrow, but as he continued to fly upstream, it became more and more spacious, until it was completely boundless. Luo Feng understood, this must be the primal chaos layer. Such a dense concentration of chaotic power spread everywhere. Looking around, Luo Feng felt as if the primal chaos layer was like an infinite ocean with chaotic power acting as the seawater, and he was a fisherman venturing out into the sea for the first time. The leaf of the void proliferation mother tree is indeed miraculous. Luo Feng glanced at the leaf he carried with him, which constantly emitted an invisible force of void fluctuations, naturally enveloping Luo Feng within its scope. Within this range, the primal chaos layer did not reject Luo Feng at all. This leaf, carried with me, will completely wither in about an epoch, which is plenty of time. Luo Feng was quite satisfied as he observed the primal chaos layer with the curiosity of a child. Chaotic power surged endlessly, with various manifestations of the primal chaos laws materializing throughout the layer, adding to its splendid brilliance. These randomly manifesting primal chaos laws are all distinct, Luo Feng noted. The dazzling and bright primal chaos laws emitting golden light, the icy, pale green primal chaos laws, even the silver-white primal chaos laws. As the manifestations of the primal chaos laws slightly vary, their outer appearances differ. Chaos possesses infinite possibilities. A slight transformation could result in various manifestations like primal chaos gold, primal chaos fire, primal chaos thunder, and more. Once one masters the primal chaos laws, one can proceed towards any origin great Tao. The essence is singular, the manifestations myriad, Luo Feng thought. Countless cultivators, regardless of the system they practice or the techniques they realize, are ultimately converging towards the primal chaos laws. Luo Feng flew slowly around, observing the randomly materializing primal chaos laws and trying to comprehend them deeply. Each manifestation brought Luo Feng different insights. Just as Luo Feng was intently comprehending, suddenly, a fiery red streak of light emerged from the primal chaos current and charged straight towards Luo Feng. Huh! Luo Feng was startled, and in an instant, ignited his divine power and reached out to grab it, capturing the fiery red streak of light. The fiery red streak of light struggled and twisted in Luo Feng's palm. Yet under Luo Feng's burning divine power, the force unleashed by his perfect divine body was enough to surpass those newly advanced cultivators within the bloodline cultivation system of the primal chaos realm. Of course, if the primal chaos realm cultivators had cultivated for extended years and enhanced themselves in all aspects, their power would be incomparable to Luo Feng's. At that moment, simply catching a small creature, Luo Feng found it quite effortless. What is this? Luo Feng looked at his palm, where he was holding a fiery red bug with a shell that looked like red glazed crystal. It seemed very small, but its struggling force was strong, comparable to the Vice President Lai Mo of the Blood Python Association. Is this a primal chaos layer creature? Luo Feng was already aware from the intelligence he had received that the primal chaos layer, with its endless chaotic power, naturally gave birth to some unique creatures. These creatures had extremely low intelligence, purely acting on instinct, and were incapable of communicating. As recorded in the information from my master, the creatures of the primal chaos layer feed on chaotic power, acting purely on instinct. Their bodies contain varying degrees of primal chaos laws. Due to their low intelligence, their strength generally rests at the eternal realm level. It's incredibly rare for any to reach the primal chaos realm, and those that do typically have very unique body structures and have long been captured alive by the major powers of the land of origin. Luo Feng looked at the fiery red bug in his palm and thought. It's said that if it can't consume chaotic power, it will starve to death and its body will completely disintegrate, returning to the cosmos. Starve to death? In the land of origin, even the weakest cultivators could absorb the energy of heaven and earth, making it impossible to starve to death. But these primal chaos layer creatures, whose strength ranged from the eternal realm to primal chaos realm, had to feed on chaotic power or they would starve, their bodies disintegrating and returning to the cosmos. Throughout the entire primal chaos layer, it's impossible to find primal chaos layer creatures with primal chaos realm strength because they are too precious and have been captured long ago, Luo Feng looked around. For him, the primal chaos layer was fascinating. Yet, for the topmost beings of the land of origin, sweeping through the primal chaos layer was a simple task, which is why they would allow their younger disciples to come here to cultivate without worrying about encountering danger. The eternal true gods who could come to the primal chaos layer were elites cultivated by major forces, with deep accumulations in all aspects, managing to realize at least a few primal chaos realm techniques as a base, and their strength generally reaching the levels of General Yong and Divine Monarch Shui Yun. For them, the primal chaos layer creatures with primal chaos realm strength being captured meant that the rest, though stronger than them, posed no threat to their safety with their instinct-driven actions. Snap! With a slight exertion of force, Luo Feng crushed the continuously struggling bug within his palm. The body shattered into dozens of pieces, each one still struggling to merge back together. Such tenacity in life, Luo Feng noted as he observed, divine power infiltrating the broken parts. He could sense traces of primal chaos laws. Within the primal chaos layer, primal chaos laws might materialize substantively at any moment, each occurrence differing from the last. Perhaps at some moment, it would form a small creature. These primal chaos layer creatures could be considered solid manifestations of primal chaos laws, Luo Feng mused. Huyang City, city owner's mansion. The many eternal true gods from the 5 great families gathered to see Her Royal Highness Yushirei Tianyu off. Your Highness, Luo he followed the primal chaos ruins into the primal chaos layer and has not returned yet, the Lord of Huyang City said softly. Previously, Yushirei Tianyu had said she would set off the next day, which was actually giving Luo Feng an opportunity. Before her departure, Luo Feng could still find the princess. But once she returned to the royal capital and reported to her father, if Luo Feng wanted to turn back and ask to become her disciple again, it would be too late. Given the status of the monarch of Yu country, would he offer a second chance after being refused once? Yushirei Tianyu gently shook her head. It seems that he truly has no intention of becoming a disciple. With such strength, he must already have a formidable legacy, perhaps being a disciple cultivated by a major power. The Lord of Huyang City nodded in agreement. In the land of origin, it was common to have multiple teachers. When weak, one might be apprenticed to an eternal true god, and once strong, to a figure of the primal chaos realm or even a godly king. This was all very normal. Luo Feng's refusal to take the monarch of Yu country as his master naturally led to many speculations among them. Let's go, there's no need to see me off any further, Yushirei Tianyu said with a wave of her hand. A massive boat appeared in the sky, and she immediately led her subordinates to fly towards it. This group of subordinates also included the Black Butcher and his disciples. The Black Butcher brought a total of 9 disciples and some family servants this time. After all, in the future while following Her Royal Highness the Princess, it was not possible to prepare every meal personally. For common guests, it would suffice for the disciples to cook. The 9 disciples were all ones the Black Butcher trusted and liked, among them was Suozi. I never thought I would be going to the royal capital. Suozi still felt a surge of emotions and could hardly calm down even now. The previous night, his master had suddenly returned and immediately convened his 9 most valued disciples, asking them if they were willing to go to the royal capital together, mentioning that it was in the company of Her Royal Highness the Princess. The 9 disciples were somewhat stunned, but without any hesitation, they all chose to go to the royal capital, following Her Royal Highness the Princess. How could they possibly miss out on this? Brother Suozi. In the distance, there was also Suo Yun who came to see him off. Ever since the Black Butcher became an eternal true god, Suo Yun treated Suozi much more warmly, and now he was tearfully saying goodbye to his brother. Suozi flew towards the flying boat and saw Suo Yun below, sending him off, and he nodded slightly. No matter what barriers lay between them, in the end, they had grown up together in the tribe. Now they were completely parting ways, and it was likely they would find it difficult to see each other in this life. Suozi, we are going to the royal capital. I never imagined that I, a true god from the lower echelons of Huyang City who learned culinary arts from the master, would first become a true god of void space, and now am on my way to the royal capital. The other disciples of the Black Butcher were also incredibly excited. 2 of these disciples brought their families, and Her Royal Highness the Princess had already granted the Black Butcher a cave mansion, making it quite easy to accommodate some family servants. Whoosh! Accompanied by the massive flying boat traversing time and space, it completely disappeared from the skies above Huyang City, and the crowd that had come to say farewell began to disperse. Suo Yun silently watched this scene, with the departing group. I did everything possible, even risking my life to seize every chance, and am still only a mid-level figure in Huyang City's Dark Force 1000 mountain tower. Yet Suo Zi just followed the Black Butcher in learning culinary arts, and now he's going to the royal capital, and can follow Her Royal Highness the Princess. Suo Yun couldn't understand why there was such a vast difference in their destinies. Is it really just fate? Within the primal chaos layer. Days passed, and Luo Feng wholeheartedly studied the manifestation of various primal chaos laws, also encountering numerous attacks from primal chaos layer creatures. Despite only retaining their primal instincts, each one of these creatures was extremely aggressive. Luo Feng also captured many primal chaos layer creatures, and even dissected their bodies to examine them closely. But as soon as he let go, the bodies of these creatures would merge and flee in terror. Clearly, their instincts also knew fear. On this day, Luo Feng was as usual attentively observing the manifestation of primal chaos laws, contemplating and pondering. Suddenly, a streak of silver light emerged from the primal chaos current and shot past Luo Feng like a flash of silver blade light. Luo Feng, as usual, burned divine power and reached out to grab. His seemingly simple action was infused with profound meanings, and the clumsy streak of silver light could not avoid it and was directly caught by Luo Feng. Pchem! Luo Feng only felt a pain in his right palm, and the streak of silver light had already darted out to a distance and stopped. Luo Feng looked at his palm in surprise. His palm had actually been cut open, revealing a bloody wound. Both the skin and muscle layers were partly sliced through, with blood flowing freely. It can actually injure me? Its strength is not inferior to Shui Yun's, I suppose, Luo Feng said, somewhat astonished. Luo Feng gazed at the silver light hovering in the distance, which was, at the moment, restlessly observing him. This primal chaos layer creature, being of low intelligence, is less cunning than Shui Yun in tactics. However, in terms of pure power, it surpasses it by a notch. Luo Feng, thrilled by the hunt, had initially dominated Shui Yun, and now, having realized a primal chaos realm technique, his strength had increased once again. Whoosh! Suddenly, the silver light flashed, tracing an arc that instantly extended over tenfold, like a spectral silver thread that swept past Luo Feng. Pchem! Luo Feng, seeing the thread sweep by his body, reached out to grasp it again. Though Luo Feng's grasp might have seemed ordinary, the ghostly elusive silver thread could not escape and was once again caught by him. At the instant he caught it, Luo Feng felt the silver thread in the palm of his hand was too slippery. Unbelievably sharp and smooth. It slipped out of his palm instantly, leaving behind a deep wound on Luo Feng. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The silver light around Luo Feng flickered repeatedly, sometimes as silver threads, sometimes as blade lights, sometimes as silver spikes, all incredibly fast. Luo Feng struggled to catch it, but ended up with several bloody wounds. Interesting. Luo Feng smiled as he watched it. Without showing some skill, it seems I can't capture it. Whoosh. The silver light aimed for another attack on Luo Feng. This time, Luo Feng also extended his hand, but his 5 fingers, like massive pillars of heaven, covered a corner of the void space and instantly enveloped the silver light. The light appeared to be trapped in a cage with no gaps to escape through. It was a move Luo Feng had newly mastered called 5 Directions Heavenly Seal. Having contemplated the life origin and destruction origin, plus his understanding gained in the primal chaos layer, besides that one primal chaos realm technique, Luo Feng had also realized several standalone techniques, each more powerful than the first 6 strikes of the world-breaking 9 blades. This technique, 5 Directions Heavenly Seal, carried a portion of the essence of heaven's split in 5 Directions blade, merged with Luo Feng's understanding of the law of primal chaos. If heaven's split in 5 directions blade intended to split heavens, shredding everything to pieces. Conversely, 5 Directions Heavenly Seal employed the essence of the 5 directions to seal heaven and earth, used to trap enemies. The casual grasp earlier could not catch the silver blade light. Now, deploying the 5 directions heavenly seal, he had completely trapped the silver light. As his 5 fingers clenched, they naturally entwined around the silver light. Buzzing tilde 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 the silver light, long and struggling, attempted to escape. However, being entangled between Luo Feng's 5 fingers, it couldn't break free. I really want to see what this little creature's body is made of, so small yet so powerful. Luo Feng deployed the Duan Mie Dharma, instantly burning his divine power to the limit. Split. Luo Feng's power burst forth, his 5 fingers exerting a sudden force, far stronger than before, attempting to tear open the body of the silver light creature. This exertion left Luo Feng utterly astonished. He felt the silver light creature was incredibly tough, impossible to tear apart. Even with my divine power burned to its limits, I can't tear its body. Luo Feng was surprised. Luckily I've realized a primal chaos realm move, or else I'd really be at a loss with it. This primal chaos layer creature, having only instinct, without even a consciousness, made Luo Feng's secret technique of willpower useless. With one hand holding the silver light creature, the index finger of Luo Feng's other hand burned with divine power. He deployed the only primal chaos realm technique he mastered, heart honing. His finger gently swooped like dissecting the void, crossing over the tip of the silver light creature's body. Crack! The body of the silver light creature immediately fractured, splitting in 2. As Luo Feng's finger crossed, he could feel the toughness of the silver light body. After it fractured, the toughness of the silver light body dramatically decreased, and its luster dimmed considerably. Luo Feng grabbed each half of the silver light body with his left and right hands, exerting a sudden force. Bang! Bang! The 2 halves of the silver light body completely shattered, turning into a cluster of silver droplets. 109 silver droplets. Luo Feng carefully examined the silver droplets in front of him. They tried to merge back together, but once split into basic silver droplets, each one's force became very weak. Luo Feng's divine power enveloped them, preventing them from merging. These silver droplets. Luo Feng scrutinized them. In his eyes, each silver droplet magnified 1 billion times, resembling a colossal star. Magnified billions of times, the silver droplet maintained a perfect spherical shape with an immensely smooth surface. On its surface, traces of primal chaos law could be vaguely seen, and these traces also permeated inside the silver droplets. Luo Feng's finger swept across a silver droplet, which instantly disintegrated into silver mist, and the substance of the primal chaos laws became visibly materialized. Luo Feng peered intently. As the silver mist dissipated, the materialized primal chaos laws also dispersed. This droplet of silver water was completely annihilated. No wonder it's so slippery. Luo Feng observed, each silver droplet actually contains a complete law of primal chaos, incorporating features of primal chaos gold and water of primal chaos. Of all the primal chaos layer creatures I've observed and studied, the previous ones only contained partial primal chaos laws. However, this silver light creature possesses a complete primal chaos law, Luo Feng realized. Containing partial primal chaos laws versus a complete primal chaos law, there was obviously a huge difference in strength. Collect. With a thought, Luo Feng gathered the remaining 108 silver droplets into the star tower. One of the space layers within the star tower spontaneously filled with these 108 silver droplets, naturally separated by the space. Luo Feng brought 2 of the silver droplets closer, and they naturally merged. Each droplet merged, and upon merging 10 droplets, they could form a silver thread, already quite potent. Once 100 droplets merged, they formed that streak of silver light. Even when combined entirely, the silver light creature's prowess did not increase significantly. The more silver droplets there are, the stronger its power, but clearly a certain threshold must be reached for a qualitative change to occur. Luo Feng thought to himself, this is merely just over 100 droplets. What if it were 10,000, or 1,000,000? That would probably amount to primal chaos realm strength. Luo Feng closely observed this streak of silver light that was kept within the star tower. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The silver light swiftly moved through this level of the star tower space, yet it couldn't escape at all. I heard that primal chaos layer creatures feed on chaotic power, Luo Feng thought, tossing several primal chaos crystals toward the silver light creature. The silver light quickly flew to the primal chaos crystals, coiling around them and began to slowly gnaw. The strength of a primal chaos layer creature is related to the primal chaos laws within its body, Luo Feng thought regretfully. It's a pity that I cannot see those creatures who possess primal chaos realm strength. According to the intelligence, all the primal chaos layer creatures with the strength of a primal chaos overlord had been captured and taken away. They were all very attractive to the godly kings. These rare and very powerful primal chaos layer creatures could rather be captured and kept over a long period, Luo Feng thought, gleaning some special applications of the primal chaos laws from them. His hometown, Luo Feng's microcosm. Beneath a large tree, its canopy covered a vast area. Primordial ancestor, it is rare for you to visit me. Luo Feng personally poured fruit wine for the primordial ancestor. Try this. I collected various fruits within the microcosm and tried several winemaking experiments. The taste is quite good. The primordial ancestor picked up the wine glass and tasted a sip, appreciating it. The flavor is delightful. I didn't expect you to be a winemaking expert, Luo Feng. Just a small hobby. Luo Feng also picked up his glass and tasted. I came this time also to thank you, the primordial ancestor said pensively. Fortunately, with the 9 netherworlds inheritance you gave, having cultivated in the land of origin until now, I have finally broken through to the eternal true God realm. Broken through? Luo Feng was thrilled, feeling happier as the human race grew stronger. After all, the land of origin was fraught with dangers. If one day he fell, it would still be the primordial ancestor protecting the human race. The land of origin clarifies the understanding of laws so much clearer, and with the inheritance, I achieved breakthrough today, the primordial ancestor said with a smile. The law lineage is indeed challenging. After this breakthrough, my days in the land of origin will be much better. Luo Feng nodded. It has been a well-deserved reward after a long ordeal. In the land of origin, the life between a true god of void space and an eternal true god was starkly different. Primordial ancestor, has your microcosm not expanded? Luo Feng asked. No rush, only you know that I have divined the source of law. Neither my microcosm nor godly body is in a rush to break through. The primordial ancestor looked at Luo Feng. Once my godly body breaks through, I will no longer be able to hide my strength and will need to face some choices. I am hesitating whether to join the official ranks of Flame Wind Ancient Country or to remain a solitary cultivator. The official ranks, Luo Feng said. Flame Wind Ancient Country has an unfathomable foundation. It is more suitable for you to join there. Although a solitary cultivator enjoys more freedom, it is also much more dangerous. Moreover, in the future, I should also go to the Flame Wind Ancient Country. You are also going to the Flame Wind Ancient Country. The primordial ancestor showed delight. It will still take a considerable amount of time, Luo Feng explained. Both he and Museum Master Emperor Chu you needed to reach the primal chaos realm, only then Emperor Chu you would recruit him. Currently, both were still at the eternal true god level. It would also take him a long time to reach the primal chaos realm, not to mention Emperor Chu Yu. I will follow your advice and join the official ranks. The primordial ancestor no longer hesitated. He knew very well that Luo Feng had received the inheritance of Duandong River lineage, making him more understanding of the top powers of the land of origin than he was. Moreover, during his days in the land of origin, the primordial ancestor had seen that new eternal true gods still had to live cautiously. Joining the official ranks would greatly increase his safety with the official layer of protection. This is the latter half of the 9 netherworlds, containing many secret techniques for the eternal true god level. Luo Feng handed a memory stone to the primordial ancestor. You don't need to practice illusions just for me, the primordial ancestor immediately said, worried it might affect Luo Feng's cultivation path. I practice various dharma, all as a foundation for reaching the primal chaos realm, Luo Feng smiled. Thank you. The primordial ancestor then took the memory stone and received the information from the latter half of the 9 netherworlds. Receiving this inheritance, the primordial ancestor grew even more aware of the gap between himself and Luo Feng. He had just become an eternal true god. whereas one of the illusions Luo Feng practiced was already at the pinnacle of the eternal true God level. His actual strength, however, was likely even more formidable and terrifying. Then now, I will go and break through completely. The primordial ancestor stood up. Luo Feng also stood up to see him off. In the days that followed, Huyang City experienced a rare calm. The Heart Shadow sect was also gathering some sect elites previously dispersed across various regions of the land of origin, after all, aiming to attack a primal chaos prefecture, the more powerful the better. If they could form an overwhelming momentum, it would be most ideal. Only, some sect elites were too far from Shi Kingdom. Even with Marquis Liu Yin's help, it wasn't a short journey to return. Additionally, persuading some sect elites to join the battle was a notably difficult task. Luo Feng, meanwhile, was immersed in cultivation. Life origin, destruction of the origin, primal chaos layer cultivation, 3000 void calamity beast diagram. Luo Feng felt himself making slow progress every day. Time passed, unbeknownst to him, 5 eras had elapsed. Huyang City, Dreamflower Tower. Luo Feng arrived here with his 2 servants, Morosa and Moyu Qingyang. Lord Luo he has come. It's Lord Luo he. The entire Dreamflower Tower was abuzz, whether it was other patrons of the tower or the internal members, all attention was on Lord Luo he. After all, the battle 5 eras prior had proven his terrifying strength invincible below the primal chaos realm with the lives of divine monarch Shuiyun, Yu Qianshu, Yu Qianyi. Dreamflower has seen the divine monarch, Dreamflower Tower Master approached with the young musician, Araya, and greeted Luo Feng with a radiant smile. Divine monarch, the usual place? The usual place, Luo Feng smiled in reply. Please, Dreamflower Tower Master led the way. Soon, they arrived at the Orchid Star Hall. Nowadays, the Orchid Star Hall was exclusively for Lord Luo his use, and any other distinguished guests could only visit other halls. Ever since Black Butcher took his apprentices and followed Her Royal Highness Princess Yushui Tianyu to the royal capital, Luo Feng, even when enjoying fine food, generally came to the Dreamflower Tower. He seldom went anywhere else. Divine Monarch, please. The Dreamflower Tower Master personally poured him wine and accompanied him at his side. You flatter me, Tower Master. Have you composed any new pieces lately? Luo Feng asked with a smile. Knowing that the Divine Monarch enjoys listening to music, I have indeed composed more than a dozen new pieces, the Dreamflower Tower Master replied. Then I must have a good listen later. Luo Feng was quite polite towards Dreamflower Tower Master. On one hand, because of his good friend Shang Tianyan's relationship with the Tower Master, he felt he should show some consideration. On the other hand, ever since his spiritual will had broken through to the godly king level, within Huyang City, even when using the 7 emotions of heart refining technique, only the Tower Master's music could immerse him fully. Araya, begin your performance, the Tower Master nodded towards her. Luo Feng watched with appreciation. The young musician Araya concentrated on playing the music. Her illusion technique had become much stronger over the past 30-some eras, but since Luo Feng's will had reached the godly king level, Araya's illusion technique had a much weaker effect on him, serving merely as a simple entertainment while he ate and drank. Araya's illusion technique has become even more impressive, Luo Feng complimented after Araya had finished playing. Thank you, Divine Monarch, Araya respectfully bowed, though she felt a bit dejected inside. She could see that once, Lord Luo he would immerse himself completely in her illusion technique, even to the point of being moved to tears. But now, he only listened with a smile. My skills are still too weak, it has become very difficult to please the Divine Monarch. Araya too had worked hard, but her illusion technique had already peaked at the pinnacle of the true god of void space, and she saw no hope of reaching the eternal true god realm. Araya stepped aside to retreat. The Dreamflower Tower Master sat there, surrounded by floating petals, with snowflakes naturally forming around her. Music spontaneously arose, with the natural world as her instrument. Her illusion technique carried a magical enchantment. The power of an illusion technique from an eternal true god was immense. Luo Feng willingly applied the 7 emotions of heart refining technique to enhance the magic of the music immeasurably so that he could be absorbed into it. As the most important guest of the Dreamflower Tower, The Tower Master knew well Luo Feng's preferences. The pieces she composed were all capable of evoking deep emotional responses within Luo Feng. Just a few pieces of music and the master enjoys them that much. Morosa, not far away, ate and drank heartily, mumbling to himself. After more than a dozen pieces had concluded, Luo Feng's emotions slowly calmed down. "Good, Tower Master, these new pieces are very nice," complimented Luo Feng. "Thank you for your compliment, Divine Monarch." The Dreamflower Tower Master had been quite nervous after the deaths of Shang Tianyang and Shui Yun, but then she discovered that Lord Luo he started to enjoy her illusion technique. This thrilled her. She even began to speculate, in the past, Lord Luo he enjoyed Araya's illusion technique, and he ignored me for over 20 eras. Shortly after the death of Shang Tianyang and Shui Yun, however, he began to like my music. Could he be pretending, just like Shang Tianyang and Shui Yun were? The pretense of Shang Tianyang and Shui Yun shattered all confidence of the Dreamflower Tower Master. What power does Lord Luo he have? Invincible below the primal chaos realm, would he really be captivated by her illusion? She lacked confidence. Lord Luo he is compassionate and loyal. Perhaps it's because of his brotherly bond with Shang Tianyang that he keeps coming to the Dreamflower Tower. The Dreamflower Tower Master theorized, "No matter, as long as the outside world believes that Lord Luo he really enjoys my illusion technique, that's enough." The Dreamflower Tower Master was also very grateful to Lord Luo he. For this reason, she used every means possible to regularly compose new pieces for Lord Luo he. The contemplation of the 3000 Void Calamity Beast diagram exhausts the spiritual will. Listening to the illusion technique with the 7 emotions of heart refining technique allows me to completely relax and cleanses my spirit, washing away all exhaustion. Luo Feng still highly valued the Dreamflower Tower Master. Long periods of cultivation can lead to weariness and numbness. 7 emotions of heart refining bring back the touch of one's own heart. I have completely mastered the full catastrophe beast diagram, Luo Feng thought silently, yet every contemplation still brings me new insights. These 5 eras were a period of rapid progress for Luo Feng. Often facing the great Tao of life origin, with Morosa having reached the primal chaos realm and often displaying the destruction of the origin, Luo Feng's long-term contemplation and deep accumulation naturally far surpassed that of 5 eras ago. He had long ago mastered the catastrophe beast diagram. Now he was revisiting it over and over. He also occasionally visited the primal chaos layer, capturing more than a dozen creatures imbued with complete primal chaos laws, such as the Silverlight creature. As his strength increased, capturing these creatures became easier. Without these opportunities, even 500 eras of cultivation wouldn't compare to these 5, Luo Feng mused. The assistance of several major fortuitous encounters was indeed significant. Just the great Tao of life origin alone had allowed him to make rapid progress. As for realm accumulation, I am still above Shui Yun, he thought. Yet, I still have not deciphered the primal chaos laws. Luo Feng frowned. The law lineage is indeed more difficult than the bloodline lineage. Shui Yun, with his accumulation, transformed to the primal chaos realm in life and death struggles. Whereas to comprehend the primal chaos laws, he indeed required a much deeper accumulation of knowledge. The city of Huyang was at its most bustling and prosperous during the daytime, with dense crowds of cultivators entering the city from various gates. A flying boat was soaring through the skies above Huyang City. Inside the flying boat, there stood 19 figures, led by a man with 3 eyes. The 3-eyed man, donned in a grey robe, looked through the walls of the flying boat at the vast Huyang City and smiled. "This is Huyang City, where the foundation of our Heart Shadow sect will be established for many years to come. Our Heart Shadow sect will finally have its foundation," said the other 18 figures with mixed emotions. Most of them had once left the Heart Shadow sect and taken root elsewhere. However, this time the Heart Shadow sect was determined to firmly establish its foundation. At the call of the sect, and with the support of 2 primal chaos overlords in the shadows, these elite members of the sect had come one after another, forming what was now the 18 elders of the Heart Shadow sect. The 18 elders, each one of them formidable, and some even surpassing the sect leader in strength. The Heart Shadow sect had undergone several declines and was already divided from within. Although the return of some sect elites from the land of origin strengthened the overall power, it also intensified the internal fragmentation. But, when it came to claiming their foundational territory, they were united. Even the two covert primal chaos overlords demanded they seize the foundational territory. Once the two primal chaos overlords achieved a breakthrough and no longer feared powerful enemies, they too would return to the sect. No one in the entire Zhejiang primal chaos prefecture can stop us, the three-eyed man declared with confidence. Even if the Marquis of Zhejiang himself appears, Marquis Liu Yin will personally deal with him. All we need to do is sweep away all the eternal true gods. Even in its current weakened state, our Heart Shadow sect can easily sweep away the eternal true gods of a primal chaos prefecture, a figure formed of flowing water said leisurely. I've heard that the most formidable in Huyang City is Lord Luo He, said a blind figure. I wish to personally test his strength. Elder Heart Eye, Lord Luo He is extremely strong, and I'm afraid only you have the power to fight him, another elder replied. Without Elder Heart Eye, we would likely rely on formations to confront Lord Luo He, the rest of the elders chimed in. There was a hint of fear towards Elder Heart Eye among them. When the Heart Shadow sect was whole, he was the most powerful. After the sect's decline and split, he left to traverse various parts of the land of origin, honing himself. It took extensive efforts by Marquis Liu Yin to personally coax him back this time. My friends. The three-eyed man swept his gaze over the 18 elders. Let Huyang City fear the name of our Heart Shadow sect. Yes. Ha ha. The 18 elders were all filled with fighting spirit, and under their command were countless eternal true gods of void space, and true god disciples. Tilde. The flying boat suddenly grew immensely larger, and at the same time, around it materialized numerous other massive flying boats. In the blink of an eye, more than 1,000 large flying boats appeared, suspended high above Huyang City. This scene caught the attention of many cultivators within Huyang City and also drew the notice of the city's officials. Boom, 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 boom. One after another, super large legion treasures appeared out of nowhere. Ha ha ha. We've waited far too long, and finally, today has come. They took various forms: colossal humanoid creatures, immense exotic beasts, strange lakes, super-large plants, a giant golden eye, and a hunched creature carrying a sword. 139 super-large legion treasures appeared all at once. Each of these legion treasures of the Heart Shadow sect was operated by at least 10 eternal true gods and tens of thousands of true gods of void space. There were no mere true gods. Unlike the Huyang Legion, which typically had only one eternal true god, tens of thousands of true gods of void space, and millions of true gods in operation, the Heart Shadow sect didn't need any true gods and instead boasted more eternal true gods, making it even more formidable. Inside the thousands of large flying boats, there were also a vast number of disciples. After all, they were once a large sect that boasted 3 primal chaos overlords. Having called scattered disciples from all around after 5 eras, they now possessed nearly 40% of their former strength. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Huyang Guard arriving through the void looked at the 139 large legion treasures with awe and fear, as well as the enormous flying boats, each exuding a terrifying aura. What is your purpose in coming to Huyang City? A leader of Huyang Guard asked nervously. The Huyang Guards were all very tense and fearful. The leading commander, although he was an eternal true god, could not help but feel his heart tremble in fear instinctively at the sight of 139 super-large legion treasures. He was afraid too. What is our purpose in coming to Huyang City? Ha ha ha. Among the many super-large legion treasures, one super-large plant-based treasure burst into laughter, its rolling laughter generating terrifying sound waves that swept over the Huyang Guards. The Huyang Guards were all blown far away by the impact. The leading commander too was sent flying, utterly unconcerned about losing face. This is a serious situation now. The visitors mean harm. As he was thrown, the commander also realized the peril Huyang City was in, merely relying on Huyang Legion. In front of 139 super-large legion treasures, we stand no chance. Such a powerful force coming over, and not fearing the deterrence of the Marquis of Zhejiang, is probably sent from Sha Kingdom. Anyone with a bit of insight could guess that. A powerful force forcibly entering a primal chaos prefecture, the godly kings of Yu Kingdom would be furious. An active invasion of their territory could powderize them within a day. That's also why, previously, the Heart Shadow sect couldn't find a foothold in the land of origin. The land of the entire land of origin had already been divided among various divine kingdoms and major powers. Only representing Shi Kingdom, would Heart Shadow sect's invasion into Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture represent a conflict between two countries. At the city owner's mansion, there was, however, panic at the moment. Bad. It's the Heart Shadow sect. The visitors mean harm, they are likely to attack the city owner's mansion. The divine power incarnations of the leaders of the 5 great families gathered here, looking at the scene monitoring the whole city. They also saw the entire imposing army of the Heart Shadow sect. Originally, the Heart Shadow sect offended the great Saint Zhuoyuan, who personally went to the Heart Shadow sect's gates. 3 primal chaos realms from Heart Shadow sect resisted the great Saint Zhuoyuan using the formation. That battle, one of the Heart Shadow sect's 3 primal chaos realms was killed, the other 2 fled. Even now, they can only hide in the shadows, not daring to appear publicly. Commander Moli Xiao grimaced. Since then, the Heart Shadow sect has been in complete decline, even splitting apart. The Lord of Huyang City nodded. The declining Heart Shadow sect was then recruited by Marquis Liu Yin, and has been under his protection until today. Their coming here today undoubtedly means that Marquis Liu Yin is behind it. Marquis Liu Yin, in the entirety of Shi Kingdom, was one of the strongest few in the primal chaos realm, his path of growth already one of blood and fire, and that of dark catastrophe. Never fearing strong enemies. Protecting the weakened Heart Shadow sect was something even the great Saint Zhuoyuan did not bother about. The great Saint Zhuoyuan was mild-tempered, unwilling to initiate a life-and-death battle if not provoked. The message has already been reported to the Marquis. An elderly man with white hair said, "The Marquis instructed us to first hold the city owner's mansion." Hold the city owner's mansion? Only by relying on the city owner's mansion can we hold off for a while. They all felt bitterness in their hearts. The whole of Huyang City, just like a superlarge mechanical treasure, its core being the city owner's mansion. Even the likes of Shui Yun, Yu Tianshu had never thought to breach into the city owner's mansion. Depending on the uniqueness of the city owner's mansion, they had the confidence to hold for some time. Outside of the city owner's mansion, they had absolutely no confidence in resisting the Heart Shadow sect. Let the core of the 5 great families first retreat into the city owner's mansion. Heart Shadow sect might directly start the battle. The 5 great families were very anxious. Even with the help of the city owner's mansion, they only dared to say hold on. The power difference between the 2 sides was too great. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Thousands of large flying boats had a terrifying presence, along with 139 superlarge mechanical secret treasures flying in the air. Their might deterred the Huyang guards from approaching, causing not a single unit from Huyang's 10 great legions to dare intercept. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, 2 divine power incarnations descended. It was the Lord of Huyang City and Commander Moli Xiao themselves. At that moment, the many superlarge mechanical secret treasures, all focused on the 2 of them, along with the thousands of flying boats, the numerous eternal true gods inside, and a multitude of true gods of void space all looking over. This invisible pressure startled the Lord of Huyang City, Commander Moli Xiao. True to being a sect founded by a godly king, even in decline, they still have thousands of eternal true gods. The Lord of Huyang City inwardly gasped. He wasn't surprised. Heart Shadow sect in its completeness, guarded by 3 primal chaos realms, had tens of thousands of eternal true gods, its faction's foundation covering 3 primal chaos prefectures, firmly rooted with treasures left by a godly king. Only afterward, having offended the great Saint Zhuoyuan, did they split and decline. Despite that, no one dared to underestimate Heart Shadow sect. Because the 2 primal chaos realms in hiding might break through in strength someday, no longer fearing the great Saint Zhuoyuan, and at that time Heart Shadow sect could rise again. Members of Heart Shadow sect, the Lord of Huyang City spoke. A man with 3 eyes flew out from a flying boat, showing himself and smiling. Heart Shadow sect Feng Yuqi greets the Lord of Huyang City, Commander Moli Xiao. So, it's the sect leader of Heart Shadow sect, the Lord of Huyang City said. With such a grand presence, What does Heart Shadow sect plan to do in Huyang City? Sigh. The three-eyed man sighed softly. My Heart Shadow sect, in such decline, has searched the world, yet it's hard to find a founding place for our sect. We came to Huyang City just seeking a temporary place to settle. At this moment, 139 superlarge mechanical secret treasures looked down upon the Lord of Huyang City, Commander Mo Li Xiao. Even if the three-eyed man sounded pitiful, the Lord of Huyang City, Commander Mo Li Xiao couldn't trust him. Merely seeking a place to settle, why such a grand scale? Please constrain your disciples, sect leader of Heart Shadow, so as not to affect Huyang City, the Lord of Huyang City said. I will do my best to restrain my disciples, the three-eyed man smiled. I won't accompany the two of you anymore, I still need to arrange for my disciples. After all, with so many disciples of Heart Shadow sect, the arrangement is troublesome. He spoke and then directly returned to the large flying boat nearby. The Lord of Huyang City and Commander Mo Li Xiao looked at each other, only able to temporarily dissipate this divine power incarnation. Inside the flying boat, the three-eyed man, with an indifferent expression, sent a telepathic order, proceed with the plan. Yes. Thousands of large flying boats and numerous super-large mechanical treasures moved at once, their might terrifying. Sect leader, I had felt from the beginning that we should attack the city owner's mansion with the force of thunder, an elder communicated telepathically, each of the 18 elders already controlling a super-large legion mechanical treasure. A large city has been built over endless years, the most central part is the city owner's mansion. It's not so easy to conquer, said the three-eyed man. Even if we conquer it, I fear the Heart Shadow sect will also suffer some casualties. Our opponent in this great battle is not the more than 100 eternal true gods from the 5 great families of the city owner's mansion at this moment, but rather the large armies under the Marquis of Zhujiang. What the sect leader said is wise, another elder agreed. We must conserve enough strong forces, the stronger our forces, the more the Marquis Liu Yin will rely on us. And if we are significantly weakened in the fight with the large army of Marquis Zhujiang, our position under Marquis Liu Yin will also be lowered. Exactly. The three-eyed man continued, the strongest army in Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture is not in Huyang City, but in Zhujiang City. Moreover, Marquis Zhujiang might also call upon some powerful eternal true gods from other parts of Yu Kingdom. Thus, we must act cautiously. Sect leader, a cold voice came. War, sometimes, requires a thunderous strike, instilling fear in them. Sufficient deterrence is needed to make the armies under Marquis Zhujiang truly wary. You may not want the sect's disciples to suffer too many casualties, but when vying for our sect's foundation, we cannot be tender-hearted and soft-handed. Our Heart Shadow sect has reached this stage, we must be cautious and united at every step. The three-eyed man expressed his headache over the strongest elder Heart Eye, who did not share his view. I am just speaking privately to the sect leader, said Elder Heart Eye, clearly disagreeing with the sect leader. Given his temperament, he would have destroyed the city owner's mansion at the first chance, willing to bear some casualties to completely occupy Huyang City first. If Marquis Zhujiang dared send a large army, then slaughter. Slaughter until Marquis Zhujiang hesitates, slaughter until Marquis Zhujiang feels the pain. As for the casualties of sect disciples, for the future of the sect, it's all worth it. Since the two venerable ancestors stand with the sect leader, it's fine. This Feng Yuqi may be tender-hearted and soft-handed, but he is also wholeheartedly devoted to the sect, Elder Heart Eye, constrained by the instructions from two primal Chaos Realm ancestors, could only hold it in. Luo Feng, who was inside Dream Flower Tower, also received a continuous stream of messages. At this moment, every faction within Huyang City was somewhat panic-stricken, feeling that the entire city could face significant upheaval. Heart Shadow sect's large army has arrived at Huyang City, with 139 super-large legion mechanical treasures, with thousands of eternal true gods. Luo Feng was stunned as he heard this, and he immediately called to his servant nearby, Luo Sa, let's go out and take a look. Has something big happened? Morosa, still eating meat, reluctantly stopped to follow his master outward. Mo Yu Qingyang, Dream Flower Tower master, also went out together. Whoosh! Soaring into the sky, Luo Feng looked from afar and, despite the Huyang City formation's influence, could still see through the air and spy on the thousands of flying boats and numerous superlarge legion mechanical treasures of the Heart Shadow sect. Impressive force, Luo Feng admired. Worthy of a sect established by a godly king, decayed to this day, it remains so formidable. The Heart Shadow sect is a standard godly king sect. At its peak, it was also regarded as a significant power with countless disciples. The Duandong River lineage, perhaps the ancestors found training disciples too troublesome, since it was transmitted from one to the next, with the previous Duandong River dying in the universe ocean. Fortunately, Luo Feng succeeded and continued the lineage, becoming the 193rd Duandong River. Heart Shadow sect has come. Huyang City is likely to undergo a significant change. The Dream Flower Tower Master was somewhat anxious. Their first target would also be the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng observed from a distance when suddenly his expression changed. This is bad. Master, what's the matter? Morosa asked, and Moyu Qingyang, along with Dream Flower Tower Master, were also puzzled. The Heart Shadow sect's army is heading straight for the center of Huyang City, and they're currently invading the Primal Chaos Armor sector's cave mansions, Luo Feng said urgently. Come on, let's hurry back. Don't let them occupy my cave mansion. Occupying cave mansions? Morosa was startled. Immediately, Luo Feng, along with Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, boarded the flying boat and traveled through the void towards his own cave mansion. Within the bounds of Huyang City, traveling short distances through the void was not a difficult task for Luo Feng. At this moment, the entire city owner's mansion at the center of Huyang City was in chaos. The elites of the 5 great families had already retreated to the city owner's mansion. The Heart Shadow sect is attacking? Mo Li Feiyun and Zhirong Qi were among the hustling core group of the 5 great families. The sisters looked outside, only aware of the dire situation. Father, senior brother Gaowu and the others are preparing for battle, Mo Li Feiyun said, worried. Don't worry, the city owner's mansion is not so easily conquered, Zhirong Qi reassured. At this moment, the elite of the 5 great families, including the Huyang Legion and Huyang Guards, had mostly retreated to the city owner's mansion, with only a few still garrisoning the 3 major sacred areas. The Heart Shadow sect claimed they were looking for a foothold, yet now they are headed straight for the city owner's mansion, an old man with white hair observed from afar. Is a battle about to start? The clan leader of the Meiwu clan said worriedly. All we can do now is face it, the lord of Huyang City declared. As branches of great families, they came to Huyang City to lead comfortable lives. Who would want to fight to the death? Yet, entangled in a conflict between 2 nations, they dared not surrender. On the side of the city owner's mansion, whether it was the direct descendants of the 5 great families who were eternal true gods or the numerous vassal eternal true gods, there were only about 100 eternal true gods in total. Even with the unique advantages of the city owner's mansion, whether they could hold it was uncertain. The lord of Huyang City, Commander Mo Li Xiao, and others looked on from afar, only to see the troops of Heart Shadow sect moving decisively towards the cave mansions in the neighboring Primal Chaos Armor sector. This cave mansion now belongs to the Heart Shadow sect. Move out quickly. This cave mansion, we, the Heart Shadow sect, claim it. One after another, the cave mansions were directly occupied. Among them, the cave mansion belonging to the Zhu clan covered a vast area, ranking among the top few superlarge cave mansions in the Primal Chaos Armor sector, much larger than Luo Feng's smaller cave mansion. Originally, it was formed by purchasing multiple cave mansions together. Esteemed members of the Heart Shadow sect, this is the ancestral land of the Zhu clan, the clan leader Zhu who personally stepped forward, followed by 5 eternal true gods who were quite pleasing and respectful. My Zhu clan is willing to offer treasures in exchange for preserving our ancestral land. What of the ancestral land? Suddenly, a massive golden eye descended, its voice thunderous. The giant golden eye fixed on Zhu who, causing him to tremble with fear, he felt a threat of death. Move out quickly, or none of the Zhu clan will be spared, the massive golden eye declared. And about your so-called offering of treasures? Let me see them. If the treasures are not precious enough, you don't need to move out. Just die here instead. The frail old Zhu whose face, marked with green secret patterns, twisted. Behind him, the 5 eternal true gods of his clan felt somewhat desperate. Fine, we will move out immediately. Zhu, who could only endure, not daring to resist in the slightest, while also obediently offering the treasures. Whose cave mansion is that? A super-large Legion mechanical treasure looked towards Luo Feng's smaller cave mansion. Master Uncle, that is the cave mansion of Lord Luo He, a disciple reported. Lord Luo He of the River God? The super-large Legion mechanical treasure observed the inconspicuous small cave mansion with a bit of wariness. Uncle Master, the sect leader has long since ordered that Lord Luo his cave mansion must not be touched, a disciple said. I know. Though the Heartshadow sect's army seemed to march with unstoppable force, wantonly seizing one cave mansion after another. Before they left the Sha Kingdom, they had thoroughly investigated the details of Huyang City. They were crystal clear about the owner of every cave mansion in the Primal Chaos Armor sector. Cave Mansion number 913 of the Primal Chaos Armor had long been marked on their list as one not to be seized. I am the Cloud Treasure Pavilion Master of the Huyang City branch. You want to seize my cave mansion? The Cloud Treasure Pavilion Master, with a huge solitary eye, rebuked the disciples of the Heartshadow sect who descended upon the place. A super-large mechanical treasure patrolling high in the sky immediately turned its attention towards him, and a cold voice rang out, Cloud Treasure Pavilion Master of the Huyang City branch, if you don't want to die, scram quickly. The Cloud Treasure Pavilion Master looked up, locked eyes with the super-large mechanical treasure, and involuntarily trembled, only to reluctantly lower his head. Fine, I'll move. With a wave of his hand, he quickly gathered some commonly used items from within the cave mansion and took 2 old servants with him before leaving indifferently. The rest of his subordinates were also scared and quickly fled the cave mansion. I am Vice Chairman Cho Shasan of the Qiansha Commerce Association's Huyang City branch. A stern-looking elder surveyed his surroundings. Are you even going to seize my cave mansion? Vice Chairman Cho. A super-large plant lifeform slowly descended, its voice much gentler. Please don't make it difficult for us. If you continue to live here, once war breaks out, you will also be easily affected, don't you agree? The stern-looking elder eyed the other party. In terms of background, within Huyang City, the only one that surpassed Qiansha Commerce Association was the exceedingly aloof Flamewind Pavilion. We will not disrupt the business of the Qiansha Commerce Association, but your eternal true gods at the Qiansha Commerce Association should not get involved in this war either. The super-large plant lifeform continued to persuade patiently. The stern-looking elder understood that if the branch of the Commerce Association were to be destroyed, headquarters might be enraged. But the seizure of cave mansions belonging to their eternal true gods would be considered trivial, not even worthy of being reported to headquarters. The Qiansha Commerce Association's business spreads across numerous kingdoms. A branch in a large city is very inconspicuous. Moreover, the godly kings backing the Qiansha Commerce Association were also unwilling to get involved in the dispute between the Sha Kingdom and Yu Kingdom easily. Fine, I'll move. The stern-looking elder could only swallow his pride. Luo Feng, carrying Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, quickly returned to his cave mansion. Wow, it's quite lively here. Morosa stood atop the mountain, looking around at the surroundings, and with his strength, he could naturally see every cave mansion in the Primal Chaos Armor sector without being affected by the grand array of Huyang City. Heartshadow sect is frantically seizing cave mansions. Luo Feng was also at the mountaintop with the leisure to look around, whether it's the local families, dark forces, or the divisions of major powers with a background, all the cave mansions in the Primal Chaos Armor sector have been taken. Master, they haven't taken our cave mansion. Moyu Qingyang noted the massive flying boat and the super-large mechanical treasures in the distance, feeling quite tense. Morosa curled his lips. Don't be impressed by their bluster, they're actually quite smart to know who not to provoke. Don't boast, Heartshadow sect is not an easy rival, Luo Feng said with a smile. The conflict between Marquis Liu Yin and Marquis of Zhujiang. There was no need for him to get involved. To him, growth was of the utmost importance. The 3 most ancient masters of the Sha Kingdom were his true enemies. Brother Luo He. The Lord of Huyang City contacted Luo Feng using the transmission token. City Lord, you're contacting me for a matter? Luo Feng took out the transmission token with a flip of his hand. Brother Luo He must have seen it too, the sudden arrival of Heartshadow sect in Huyang City. They are too strong, and my city owner's mansion can't withstand them, the Lord of Huyang City communicated. The Marquis will soon dispatch reinforcements, but what's imperative now is to defend the city owner's mansion. The city owner's mansion is the core of the entire Huyang City. The three forbidden lands are critical as they are tied to the grand array of Huyang City. But the city owner's mansion is truly the core of the supergigantic mechanical city of Huyang and can unleash terrifying power. Even if the Heart Shadow sect, with such strength, were to forcefully attack the city owner's mansion, it would result in some casualties. City Lord, with my lone power, how could I possibly resist a vast sect like Heart Shadow sect? Luo Feng communicated back, I'm not strong enough. No eternal true God in Yu Kingdom has the power to resist the entire Heart Shadow sect alone. But if you come to the city owner's mansion, with your help, we will definitely be able to hold the city owner's mansion securely, the Lord of Huyang City communicated. To hide with you in the city owner's mansion? Luo Feng communicated, I'm just an independent eternal true God, really unwilling to get completely entangled in this. As an eternal true God, if I get involved in the strife between Marquis Liu Yin and Marquis of Zhujiang, who knows when I might die? You need not worry, the primal chaos overlord will not bully the weak during the conflict between two countries, the Lord of Huyang City communicated, as long as you are willing to help, any condition can be discussed. Any condition can be discussed? Luo Feng asked, how about 1 billion cosmic sand? Name your price to hire me, and I'm naturally willing to help. 1 billion cosmic sand? The Lord of Huyang City was somewhat startled. This Lord Luo, he was truly audacious. Such a vast fortune would surely make the primal chaos overlord flinch. Despite having a territory that ensured a steady income, the primal chaos overlord also needed to maintain a large number of subordinates, nurture the younger members of his clan, and spend on personal cultivation. They generally would not keep an excessive reserve of assets. It was fundamental to expend savings on enhancing one's own strength. Being able to carry several billion cosmic sand was already quite good. Some primal chaos overlords who lived hand to mouth, spending nearly all their income, would struggle to immediately produce even 1 billion cosmic sand. This price is not at all expensive, Luo Feng stated. I must report to the Marquis first. The Lord of Huyang City dared not agree on his own. The previous bounty for Divine Monarch Shuiyun was just 10 million cosmic sand. 30 to 50 million cosmic sand was enough to summon the strongest eternal true gods of the Yu Kingdom to join the battle, which was the normal going rate. Of course, it also depended on whether the other party had enough time and was willing to come. You go report to the Marquis first, Luo Feng said, then cut off the transmission. This price isn't high at all. My strength could be even stronger than the strongest eternal true gods of the Yu Kingdom, Luo Feng mused quietly. Of course, it was only slightly stronger. Although he possessed a perfect divine body, Luo Feng only planned to exert the strength close to the limit of the unlimited godly body. This conformed to normal logic. After all, there had been no cultivators with a perfect divine body in the land of origin before. If the strength he revealed totally exceeded the eternal true God domain, much stronger than the prodigies from the two great ancient countries, it would likely raise suspicions among some ancient beings. My strength must appear normal. It must align with logical normalcy, Luo Feng cautioned himself. He bore the hope of revenge from his mentor, the mountain-sitting guest, and carried the future of the human race. Inside his small universe alone, countless humans lived and procreated. He had to be careful, never careless with each step. Master, nearly all the cave mansions around have been taken over. Morosa observed the surroundings. Only the 5 great families' mansions and the masters remain. The Heart Shadow sect does act quite domineeringly. Marquis of Zhujiang won't just stand by and watch, Luo Feng said. In the original mansion of the Zhu clan, this location served as a temporary gathering place for the higher-ups of the Heart Shadow sect. The sect leader and the 18 elders congregated here. Sect leader, in the Primal Chaos Armor sector, only the mansions of the 5 great families and the small mansion of Lord Luo he remain, one elder spoke. Should we make a move on the mansions of the 5 great families? There's no hurry. The man with 3 eyes surveyed the elders. Right now we need to first appease the 2 major threats within Huyang City. One is the Flame Wind Pavilion, and the other is Lord Luo He. The 18 elders all listened. The Flame Wind Pavilion is established by a coalition of the strongest forces of the Flame Wind ancient country. No matter how the war unfolds, we must maintain respect for the Flame Wind Pavilion. We cannot give them any reason to intervene, the three-eyed man said. Understood. We would be insane to provoke the Flame Wind Pavilion. All of the 18 elders were well aware that although the Flame Wind Pavilion did not interfere in the conflicts of other nations, it also did not tolerate provocation. Those who dared to provoke would face consequences far more terrible than provoking the great Saint Joyuan. Having affronted great Saint Joyuan before, Heart Shadow Sect saw 3 of its primal Chaos Realm members, 1 dead, 2 fled, and the sect declined. Provoking the Flame Wind Pavilion would leave no escape. The master of the Shi Kingdom might personally take action, capturing them alive to present to the Flame Wind Pavilion for disposal. I will personally visit the Flame Wind Pavilion, the three-eyed man declared. The Flame Wind Pavilion has the most terrifying background within the city, and the strongest within the city is Lord Luo He. According to the plan, Elder Heart Eye will visit. Leave it to me, Elder Blind said calmly. Just as deep in their respective realms, Elder Blind's numerous inheritances were certainly much stronger than those of Divine Monarch Shuiyun. Remember, do not make enemies, the three-eyed man instructed Elder Blind. Don't worry, I know what to do, Elder Blind nodded. There was no choice. The other elders among the 18 elders simply didn't dare to visit Lord Luo He. They feared that a disagreement might lead to being killed by Lord Luo He. If they merely sent a divine power incarnation for the visit, it would seem disrespectful. Thus, sending Elder Heart Eye was the most appropriate. When Heart Shadow Sect was at its peak, ruling over 3 primal chaos prefectures, Elder Heart Eye was the most powerful eternal true god. After the decline of the sect, Elder Heart Eye traveled and cultivated throughout the land of origin up to the present, accumulating even greater depth. Soon, Elder Blind, accompanied by 2 disciples, made a secret visit to the exterior of Luo Feng's cave mansion. Primal Chaos Armor Sector 913. Elder Blind looked at the mansion. One disciple beside him knocked on the door. As the knock resounded, an invisible fluctuation spread outward, and the disciple also spoke up, representative of the Heart Shadow Sect, Elder Heart Eye has come to visit Lord Luo He. The door quickly opened. Moyu Qingyang smiled, my master has been awaiting you. Elder Blind looked up, sensing the terrifying presence not far from the mountain peak. Indeed, an unlimited godly body, Elder Blind could feel the immense and boundless aura, as if it were never-ending. Every time he faced an unlimited godly body, Elder Blind's emotions were complex. Coming from humble origins, he began his cultivation path through bloodline methods. Even though he later showed dazzling talent, his godly body was no match for the unlimited godly body. Even with Heart Shadow Sect's nurturing and biased allocation of resources, and his bloodline becoming sufficiently mighty, it was still a notch below the unlimited godly body. It was quite rare for individuals like Yu Tianshu, who had bloodline-based godly bodies, to be comparable to unlimited godly bodies. What of the unlimited godly body? More than one with such a body has fallen to my hand. Elder Blind took a stride and, whoosh, was already at the mountain peak, with his 2 disciples swiftly following. Luo Feng sat in front of the pavilion at the mountain's summit, leisurely drinking, watching as a blind man with 2 disciples approached. Tchem. Luo Feng could sense that the blind man's aura was restrained, the hidden boundless sharpness somewhat startling Luo Feng. His hidden boundless sharpness actually threatens my realm of life and death. The realm of life and death was Luo Feng's combination of 3 moves from his pathway of life and death in the primal chaos realm, forming an invisible domain. Elder Heart Eye, honored to meet Lord Luo He, Elder Blind spoke, his 2 disciples respectfully following suit. I have long heard of Elder Heart Eye's great name. Please have a seat, Luo Feng said with a smile. Qingyang, serve the wine. Elder Blind sat down, while his 2 disciples stood behind him. Moyu Qingyang personally served up fruit and fine wine. Please, Luo Feng said, holding up his wine glass. Elder Blind also poured himself a drink. 4 powerful cultivators, eyes could be trained to be very strong, but even blindness wouldn't affect their observation of their surroundings. Indeed, many cultivators do not even have eyes in their godly bodies or gaseous or liquid forms. Please, Elder Blind also raised his glass, and after drinking a cup, he smiled and said, "Before coming to Huyang City, I had already heard of the great name of Lord Luo He. General Yong Hu of Yu Kingdom's capital relied on the Huyang City's formation and still couldn't hold divine monarch Shui Yun. But, Lord Luo He, you managed to slay Yu Tianshu, Yu Tianyi, and the escaping divine monarch Shui Yun outside the city, all in one single night. Your strength is indeed above that of General Yong Hu." General Yong Hu was only concerned about the civilians within the city and afraid of causing too many casualties, which is why he let Shui Yun escape, Luo Feng said. The battle between Yong Hu and Shui Yun at the Flame Wind Pavilion is available for sale to the public, Elder Blind said. Anyone can see that Shui Yun's strength is profoundly unfathomable, which makes us at Heart Shadow Sect admire Lord Luo He even more. The sect leader had already ordered that upon coming to Huyang City, we must not offend the Lord. The sect leader is too kind, Luo Feng said with a smile. Mo Yu Qingyang, who was standing by serving, pricked up his ears to listen carefully. Not offend the master? The Heart Shadow Sect surely fears the master. This time Heart Shadow Sect came to Huyang City to seek a place to survive, Elder Blind sighed. For a sect to survive, it's very difficult. Luo Feng was listening. For survival, our disciples of the Heart Shadow Sect are willing to spare no expense, Elder Blind said. I hope the Lord can understand the Heart Shadow Sect and not interfere with the matters here. Ha ha. Luo Feng laughed. I'm not an official of Yu Kingdom, nor am I from your Sha Kingdom. I'm just an independent cultivator, as to whom I help. Alas, we independent cultivators are all desperately fighting for resources. If there are enough resources to hire me, how could I refuse? Luo Feng understood what the other party meant. They hoped for Luo Feng's commitment not to interfere in the conflict in Huyang City. Enough resources to hire? Elder Blind asked, how much would it take to hire Lord Luo He? I treat all equally. Yu Kingdom has already given me quite a bit, and I haven't even agreed to help them, Luo Feng said. If Heart Shadow Sect wants to hire me, 2 billion cosmic sand will suffice. 2 billion cosmic sand? Elder Blind's face twitched. That's a bold price. Watching from the side, Luo Feng remembered that the monarch of Yu country had gifted him a leaf from the Void Proliferation Mother Tree, and Marquis of Zhujiang had also presented him with 10 million cosmic sand as a token of gratitude. That was all about relationships. Giving a quote of 1 billion cosmic sand to Yu Kingdom was a friendly price. Offering 2 billion cosmic sand to Heart Shadow Sect was also justified. If Heart Shadow Sect agreed to such a high price, and the news spread, Yu Kingdom would have nothing to say. After all, Luo Feng was giving them a half-price deal. I'm just an independent cultivator. Whoever gives the resources, I help them. I believe Elder Heart Eye can understand. Luo Feng looked at the other party. The conversation between Luo Feng and Elder Blind made the two disciples behind Elder Blind and Mo Yu Qingyang tremble with the thought of 2 billion cosmic sand. What a colossal fortune that was. Understood, even for disciples of our sect, obtaining resources is not easy, Elder Blind said. I have traveled the world challenging many mighty ones. With such strength as yours, I wonder if we could have a sparring match? A sparring match? Luo Feng nodded, sure. Elder Blind sensed the confidence in the other party and immediately nodded, I'll arrange a more spacious place. Let's just do it in my cave dwelling, Luo Feng said, it's just a sparring match, this place is big enough. I'm afraid that might damage your cave dwelling, Elder Blind added. No need to compensate if it gets damaged, Luo Feng said with a smile as he got up. The Lord is truly magnanimous. Elder Blind also stood up, and his two disciples and Mo Yu Qingyang at the side all became somewhat nervous. In an open area of Luo Feng's cave dwelling, Luo Feng and Elder Blind stood opposite each other at a distance. Morosa, Mo Yu Qingyang, and the two disciples of Heart Shadow Sect watched from the corners of the cave dwelling. Please, Luo Feng said with a smile, looking at the opponent. Elder Blind flipped his hand, and a black spike appeared. At first glance, the black spike looked quite ordinary, with a subdued luster, and no secret patterns could be seen. Since it was just a sparring match, neither side was burning their divine power, and their auras were very restrained. This Lord Luo, he still wants to waver between the two forces, asking for 2 billion cosmic sand right off the bat. If he realizes the gap in our strength, he will be much more compliant, Elder Blind thought to himself. Be careful, Lord, Elder Blind said, as he thrust the black spike forward. With that thrust, he activated the realm of life and death that was already spread around them. Luo Feng's realm of life and death enveloped the entire cave dwelling, and as Elder Blind thrust his spike, the realm heavily obstructed his attack. The realm of life and death, a combination of 3 primal chaos realm techniques, appeared like a vast Tai Chi cloud formation upon manifestation, its rotation far more powerful than that of pure control primal chaos. Rip! Elder Blind's thrust forcibly penetrated the realm of life and death, tearing through it and sending shockwaves rolling, with the spike already reaching Luo Feng's robe. Luo Feng still stood unmoved, his robe surface displaying a layer of murky protecting robe, a synergy of the realm of life and death condensed with 2 techniques from the lore of primal chaos. These 5 techniques combined to form the chaotic protective robe. Though not as intricate as Divine Monarch Shuiyun's creation of the Blood Cloud Great Array from 9 techniques. But the realm of life and death, the chaotic protective robe, were just some of the techniques Luo Feng had managed to comprehend in the span of the 5 eras. Puff! The thrust, surprisingly, penetrated the murky protective robe on Luo Feng's skin. His skin, refined 3 times to achieve the perfect divine body, was finally pierced, showing a speck of blood. Elder Blind retreated instantly, somewhat in disbelief. Amazing, amazing. With just a casual stab, Elder Heart-Eye managed to break through my domain and protective robe, even wounding me, Luo Feng exclaimed. Elder Blind felt the pressure. I have cultivated the Godly King level inheritance 6 Extremes of Destruction, which utilizes 7 primal chaos realm techniques. According to the inheritance, only after a complete integration can this stab be formed. Elder Blind was shocked internally. I have encountered those with unlimited godly bodies before, and this stab would have seriously wounded them. But facing Lord Luo it barely broke the skin. What seemed like a normal stab was indeed one of Elder Blind's lethal moves, famous in many regions. Divine Monarch, please try this move of mine, Elder Blind said, and right after speaking, his figure blurred in an instant. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In a blink, he split into 13 figures, each making a strike, each seeming terrifyingly powerful, but when the 13 strikes merged, that's when the power truly shook the heavens and the earth. Boom tilde tilde tilde. This congealed black strike surprised even Luo Feng, indeed a disciple of a godly king sect. The technique is truly profound, forming a formation from numerous techniques to converge into a single, powerful strike. Relying on just a protective robe to withstand it isn't enough. I need to show some real skills now. Faced with this earth-shattering strike, Luo Feng extended his left hand. Boom! His arm expanded rapidly, and his palm grew even larger, as though covering the sky, with each of Luo Feng's 5 fingers containing dual-colored vortices, the entire palm like a chaotic universe. Boom tilde tilde tilde. The frightening strike collided with Luo Feng's palm, their forces annihilating and mercilessly grinding against each other. One side is godly king level techniques recorded in the inheritance. The disciples merely need to cultivate step by step to continuously build their foundations and draw closer to the primal chaos realm. The other side, however, directly encountered the great Tao of life origin and the mysteries of destruction's origin, fusing both and integrating the understanding of primal chaos. This was also one of Luo Feng's 6 major killing techniques, the 10 Directions Annihilation Palm. If the world-breaking 9 Blades of the past was purely for defense, then this 10 Directions Annihilation Palm was for offense, and it involved combining 10 primal chaos realm techniques into one strike executed with a hand that had undergone 3 body refinements to attain a perfect divine body. One of Luo Feng's true killing techniques. Luo Feng still had to hold back his strength too much, and it would exceed the eternal true God domain. Luo Feng had long set standards for himself, not needing to hide his realm's accumulation since the outside world already considered him very close to the primal chaos realm. Still, the power of the perfect godly body needed to be restrained. Even reined in to the strength of an unlimited godly body, he was still suppressing Elder Blind. The 10 Directions Annihilation Palm, despite merging 10 techniques still being somewhat rough, was no less formidable than Elder Blind's killing formation. Boom tilde tilde tilde. That dreadful strike, under the crush of Luo Feng's massive palm, ultimately shattered and was completely obliterated. This scene shocked Elder Blind. This Luo, he is an unlimited godly body of the law lineage. And his realm's accumulation even surpasses mine. Elder Blind confirmed this instantly. If he were part of the bloodline cultivation system, such accumulation might have already led him to the primal chaos realm. Elder Heart-Eye's formation technique is quite powerful, Luo Feng praised. I was even forced to use my ultimate technique. Elder Heart-Eye, do you have any more moves? No need to continue comparing, I'm indeed inferior to Lord Luo He, Elder Blind spoke. This sparring truly broadened my horizons. Lord Luo He, I shall take my leave first. And I will relay the hiring price you mentioned to the sect leader. All right, Luo Feng nodded with a smile. Elder Blind turned and swiftly left with 2 disciples. This battle had kept the cave dwelling encapsulated by the realm of life and death, and since Elder Blind had not burned his divine power and had intentionally restricted the range, the cave mansion was still in relatively good condition. Only the empty space where the fight took place had pits and uneven ground. Sigh. With a thought, the ground quickly repaired itself. Master, this Elder Heart-Eye is quite strong, Morosa spoke, should be somewhat stronger than Shuiyun. Shuiyun's formations are rather rough, whereas Elder Heart-Eye's moves are more naturally powerful and superior. Luo Feng nodded, unmistakably a godly king tier sect. Although he himself had inheritances from 2 godly king lineages. Unfortunately, his master, mountain-sitting guest, was an artifact refining godly king and did not leave him any suitable godly king inheritances. The 3rd-generation forefather of the Duandong River lineage did leave behind 3 supportive godly king-level inheritances, Duan Mie, Dong Hua, and Undying River. No way around it, both his master and the 3rd-generation forefather had just stepped into the godly king tier. This is why they met such fates, one fleeing into the universe ocean, the other dying completely. Power is the foundation. Elder Heart-Eye, how did it go with your visit to Lord Luo He? Asked the master of the Heartshadow sect, who had just returned from visiting the Flame Wind Pavilion. I heard that you sparred with him? I asked him not to interfere, and he asked for a hiring price of 2 billion cosmic sand. Elder Blind frowned as he spoke, so we had to go with the backup plan, sparring to put some pressure on him. But in this exchange, his godly body is stronger than mine, and even his realm is stronger. Master Fengyuchi of the Heartshadow sect couldn't help saying, both of our forefathers said that with your deep accumulation, Elder Heart-Eye, just a little chance could lead to a breakthrough. His realm is actually higher than yours. While it's somewhat higher, ultimately, it's within the same tier, said Elder Blind. Once I command the disciples and wield the mechanical flow secret treasure heart devil kite, I can match that Luo He. Originally, the divine monarch who established the Heartshadow sect crafted 13 mechanical flow secret treasures according to their inheritances, to serve as hereditary treasures of the sect. But over the long years, only 7 of these mechanical heritage secret treasures remain, with the Heart Devil Kite being one of them. A divine monarch establishing a sect left many means behind. But with continual decline, the Heartshadow sect's methods are becoming fewer. This was just a spar. I didn't use my secret technique of willpower shadowless stab, which is my strongest move. Elder Blind said, once it's used, it's no longer a spar but a fight for life and death. The master of the Heartshadow sect and Elder Blind met, and soon the meeting of elders was convened. I brought gifts to visit the master of the Flame Wind Pavilion, and everything went smoothly, Fengyuchi, the Heartshadow sect leader, said with a radiant smile. The Flame Wind Pavilion has always acted consistently. As long as they are not offended, they won't intervene in war. This was within their expectations. Not intervening in the conflicts of various nations was a rule set by the headquarters of the Flame Wind Pavilion, and branch leaders would not dare to breach it lightly. If the Flame Wind Pavilion were to intervene, there must be a sufficient reason, and it must be confirmed by the headquarters. How did it go when Elder Heart-Eye visited Lord Luo He? An elder asked, which was their most pressing concern. Did he agree not to intervene? He did not agree, Elder Blind said. He did not agree. The other elders were somewhat annoyed. We have already shown him enough respect, and is still ready to take action against us at any moment. This Luo he is a variable. I think we should join forces to deal with Luo he before the army of the Marquis of Zhujiang arrives, another elder suggested. It's easy for our entire sect to defeat him, but an eternal true god of his realm is unfathomable and has extremely strong survival skills. He might slip away quietly. Once he escapes, he really becomes a deadly enemy. Instead, we would be pushing him to the side of the Marquis of Zhujiang. The elders discussed animatedly. Elder Blind nodded and added, the power of our Heart Shadow sect is enough to defeat any eternal true god, but we're not sure we can kill him. Then what do we do? Just watch. If a war really breaks out in the future, his involvement will be a big problem. The elders were also worried. A stab in the back from him at a critical moment would be a major issue. This Lord Luo he said is a freelance cultivator, and he will help whoever hires him, Elder Blind stated. But he's very greedy. He has quoted a mercenary price of a full 200 million cosmic sand. 200 million cosmic sand? He's crazy. Who does he think he is? The elders could not accept such a price. Elder Blind continued, since he's asking for such a high price from us, he must have also quoted the Marquis of Zhujiang a high price. That's probably why the Marquis has not agreed to it yet. If he had, he would have likely entered the city owner's mansion already. The sect leader of Heart Shadow smiled, rest assured, everyone, such a greedy person will not make a move easily without a sufficient price. Even if he does make a move in the future, Elder Heart Eye leading our disciples to control the Heart Devil Kite is enough to deal with him. Controlling the Heart Devil Kite is enough to handle him, Elder Blind agreed. He admitted that Luo his realm was slightly higher than his, but he practiced the Godly King level Dharma 6 extremes of destruction, and coupled with the mechanical flow secret treasure the Heart Devil Kite, he could easily handle Lord Luo he after a full-powered boost. That's good to hear. As long as Elder Heart Eye controls the Heart Devil Kite and entangles Luo he, there will no longer be any powerful individuals under the Marquis of Zhujiang for us to be wary of, the elders were quite confident. After all, in the Yu Kingdom, there were only a handful of eternal true gods on par with Lord Luo he. Knowing that Lord Luo he hasn't sided with the Marquis of Zhujiang for now is good news, said the sect leader of Heart Shadow. Now let's move on to the next step of the plan. In Huyang City, above the Primal Chaos Armor sector, several huge flying boats and numerous super-large mechanical stream secret treasures suddenly headed towards the cave mansions of the 5 great families. What's happening? The Heart Shadow sect has arrived. The members of the 5 great families had already been uneasy, but the core members of the families had already moved to the city owner's mansion as the first action, only leaving behind a large number of ordinary family members of lower status. These ordinary family members accounted for over 99% of the family population, making it troublesome to relocate. Even when the family leaders gave orders, the execution would be sluggish. The cave mansion of the Tsuman clan now belongs to our Heart Shadow sect, boomed a powerful voice from 10 super-large mechanical secrets treasures hovering in the air, sweeping over the entire cave mansion. All creatures inside the cave mansion must leave. After 100 breaths, any creature still inside will not be spared. We are part of the royal family. How dare you seize the cave mansion of our Tsuman clan? Some of the family members were used to arrogance and dared to berate even the Heart Shadow sect. But the vast majority of family members quickly packed up some belongings and frantically rushed out of the cave mansion. In a conflict between 2 nations, who would care about the insignificant members of the royal family's fringe branches? The Moli clan, move out quickly. The cave mansion of the Jiang family now belongs to our Heart Shadow sect. The Wu family. The Meiwu clan. The Heart Shadow sect did not care about the backgrounds of the others, they seized the cave mansions directly. The fact that they didn't proceed to slaughter was already showing restraint. Under the threat of death, the 5 great families almost completely evacuated their cave mansions within 100 breaths, save for a very few foolish and stubborn individuals who still remained inside. I am a member of the royal family. How dare you, Heart Shadow sect, kill me? Those few foolish and arrogant individuals silently turned to dust under an invisible force, and none was spared. The descendants of the royal family had proliferated for countless years and had become too numerous to count. Many branches were settled in remote cities, and their status was not as elevated as they believed. In the land of origin, only the core and elite members of some big clans held a higher status. The members of the 5 great families have all come to the city owner's mansion, the Lord of Huyang City said, looking at the other 4 clan leaders. The city owner's mansion needs to reserve a large space for war, and cannot accommodate so many family members. For the time being, let them stay temporarily in the cave mansions and secret treasures, Mo Li Xiao suggested. We have no other choice, agreed the leaders of the other 3 great families. A comfortable residence for the core members of the family is enough, while common clansmen may first take shelter in the cave mansion's secret treasures. Thus, the common clansmen of the 5 great families, having just entered the city owner's mansion, were ordered to enter the cave mansion's secret treasures according to their ranks to temporarily reside there. They had no choice but to obey the orders from the family's higher-ups. Now, in the entire Primal Chaos Armor sector, only Lord Luo his cave mansion remains unoccupied, said the Lord of Huyang City, and not long ago, we detected powerful energy fluctuations coming from Lord Luo his cave mansion. Did the Heart Shadow sect recruit Luo He? The leaders of several families worriedly inquired. Hiring Luo He is very expensive. The Lord of Huyang City immediately reached out to contact Luo Feng. Luo Feng sat atop a mountain within the cave mansion, leisurely drinking wine, observing the ever-changing situation in the Primal Chaos Armor sector. The once high and mighty 5 great families had now been forcibly evicted from their cave mansions, and the few clansmen who dared to stay had been reduced to dust. When your background matters, your background is of use. When it doesn't, what can you do? Luo Feng pondered. The so-called background, the so-called dignity, ultimately needed to be supported by strength. Like the Flame-Wind Pavilion, even a minor branch would cause 2 warring nations to make way. Brother Luo He, the Lord of Huyang City, suddenly reached out. City Lord, what brings you to contact me all of a sudden? Luo Feng replied. Recently, powerful energy fluctuations were detected from Brother Luo his cave mansion. Did the Heart Shadow sect visit you? Asked the Lord of Huyang City. Lord Luo his strength. The difference between being recruited by the Heart Shadow sect or the city owner's mansion was significant. It could mean the equivalent of having 2 Lord Luo his. It was Elder Heart Eye from the Heart Shadow sect who came to visit, and we briefly sparred, Luo Feng communicated. Oh, and how did the spar go? The Lord of Huyang City was very interested, as he was well aware of Elder Heart Eye's strength. He is indeed quite strong, Luo Feng communicated, stronger than Shui Yun. The Lord of Huyang City's interest piqued, sensing Luo Feng's implication, and responded, Brother Luo he can kill Shui Yun, so if it's one-on-one, could you also kill this Elder Heart Eye? I hear he can control one of the Heart Shadow sect's 13 mechanical treasures, the Heart Devil Kite. If he operates it, I can only suppress him at most, and will not be able to kill him, replied Luo Feng. The Lord of Huyang City was inwardly shocked. Elder Heart Eye controlling the Heart Devil Kite, yet Luo he claimed he could suppress it. Didn't it mean that he could restrain even more of the Heart Shadow sect's forces? The Heart Shadow sect visited me because they too wished to hire me, Luo Feng communicated. You know, a free cultivator like me cares most about resources. But I also have a deep bond with you kingdom, so I quoted a hiring price of 2 billion cosmic sand. Brother Luo he is truly forthcoming, the price you've given us is far lower than what the Heart Shadow sect offered, lauded the Lord of Huyang City. Even if he thought the price of 1 billion cosmic sand was high, he still flattered Luo Feng. At this time, whichever side Lord Luo he supports would greatly influence the battle situation. I will report this to the Marquis, and I believe there will be a result from his end very soon, the Lord of Huyang City also soothed Luo Feng. After the communication ended, Luo Feng held his wine jug. It seems my quote was a bit high, both sides haven't agreed, Luo Feng thought, this spar should have proven my worth. Whether Marquis of Zhujiang or Marquis Liu Yin rules the Primal Chaos Prefecture, they must ensure the safety of the city's citizens. Thus, the citizens would continually pay the residence fee. Who wins, who loses? Luo Feng couldn't care less. Unless the offer was abundant. If I could get 1 billion cosmic sand, that should help me reach the primal chaos realm faster, Luofeng thought. The children of big families would naturally have resources poured into them if they were sufficiently talented. He had no choice, he had to earn every resource himself. Inside a hall in Zhujiang City, Marquis of Zhujiang sat alone on his throne, his silver hair cascading over his shoulders, each strand causing disturbances in the void. Marquis Liu Yin actually sent assassins from the Heart Shadow sect. Even if he manages to take away my Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture, he'll have to share a portion with the Heart Shadow sect. The Marquis of Zhujiang's gaze grew even colder. It seems he's determined to take Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture this time. This is my fiefdom. My cultivation resources. The space around Marquis of Zhujiang twisted as he continued. You, Marquis Liu Yin, are hell-bent on seizing my fiefdom? Judging from all sides, your strength is indeed greater than mine. But the real fight is not determined by superficial information. The Marquis of Zhujiang had been very patient. The two neighboring primal chaos prefectures were constantly provoked by Marquis Liu Yin's side, and he had been enduring. But now the enemies had sent the Heart Shadow sect to invade the large city, Huyang City, and if he continued to endure, aside from Zhujiang City, he feared that the rest would be occupied. I have summoned all the elite forces of Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture to Huyang City, but my elites alone are no match for the Heart Shadow sect. Marquis of Zhujiang was well aware of this. At the level of eternal true God, his forces indeed could not compare with the Heart Shadow sect. In terms of numbers, they were close, but in quality, they were significantly weaker. After all, the majority of eternal true gods in Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture cultivated much inferior dharma compared to those of the Heart Shadow sect. Plus, various sect-defending treasures left by the godly king of the Heart Shadow sect also significantly enhanced the disciples' strength. That Luo he wants 1 billion cosmic sand? He sure dares to ask. Marquis of Zhujiang was also troubled. Let's first try to get a few eternal true gods from the royal capital. As for Luo, let's wait and see how the situation unfolds. He had already prepared 1 billion cosmic sand, actively inviting the strongest eternal true gods from the royal capital, but it was uncertain how many would come. This video will end here.